Welcome to SEMA 2016, and this is about as quiet as this show gets because Ford was gracious enough to let us come into their little skybox. All the excitement is happening below us, and coming up right now in the Fastlane car, we're going to show you some of the coolest Ford cars at this year's SEMA show. Which one? Well, you know what? Let's go down there and let's show you. All right, Sean, we're standing here in front of a Mustang, but it's a special Mustang because it's 500 pounds lighter than a normal Mustang. How did you do that?
Well, we at the team at SpeedCore, we have an in-house capability of doing all pre-preg autoclave carbon fiber. So we talked with Ford earlier on this year about doing a design project with them for this year's SEMA show. And one of the ideas we had was to illustrate our carbon capabilities and do a full carbon car. And what better way to illustrate our carbon parts than to put them on our all-carbon car.
That's crazy, and it's 500 pounds lighter.
Correct.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a huge amount. So, and that's kind of the trend these days is, you know, back in the day you had the super high horsepower motors and it's just how much horsepower you can get, but now it's really about weight reduction. And it's really interesting because in the automotive industry right now, we're trying to lower gas restraints and limitations of that nature, lightweight panels and composites are really coming forward. So
what was the hardest part of actually creating all the panels? Was it difficult building all the parts that normally do stamped in metal and carbon fiber?
Well, we have a really talented team. I think trying to get the weave orientation, and I don't want to speak on behalf of them, but this is me working with them, getting the weave orientation and getting it to run perfectly, that was a really today's step for us and something that we're capable of doing, but that was really the aesthetic of the car that we wanted to add as well, is be conscious of the wrap and the way the whole carbon fiber is laid out. So
now, of course, carbon fiber is naturally carbon colored. But you chose this kind of blue stripe. What was the inspiration for that?
Well, you know, it's a Mustang and Ford blue, and it's a really good color, but it really popped and contrasted on the carbon. We tried a few other colors, and you know, the blue just popped and had a nice contrast to it. But it really complements the car really nicely, I believe.
Now you're building 9 of these, right?
Well, that's the plan. Okay. This spring we're going to be offering more of these in a package called SK10, but that will be coming later. But this is the first one, and we're just excited to have it here.
And how much would it cost if you wanted to buy this?
Right now we're working on numbers in that, but it'll start starting around $145.
Okay, so it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, but
the
grand scheme of things, you know, a carbon fiber car with this much horsepower, you know, it's actually a pretty good. It's a pretty good thing. So
obviously, the entire car is carbon fiber, not the chassis, but the outside parts.
Yeah, so that would be the A side is. So you know, a lot of people are coming up at the show and they're like, oh, it's a wrap, and it's like, no, we took every A side panel and we actually cut it off and replaced it with a mold and left the B-side structure and the inner panels on that nature, so it's the strength, but all the actual sheet metal on the A-side is retained in pre-preg autoclaved carbon fiber.
Wow. And if people wanted to, let's say, buy just parts, right, like the spoiler, can they do that?
Yes, our parts are available in various kits that we'll be offering closely next spring.
So you could buy the spoiler, you could buy the air dam, you could buy, if you didn't want to, you know, do your whole car in carbon fiber.
Yeah, we have various creative package options where you can buy it.
Okay.
So you can go to speedcore.com and check out how we're going to do that.
All right, and have you driven this car?
Not yet. It's only, you know, a week old, so we're literally came here from Wisconsin, Milwaukee, where we're based out of, to the show. But we can't wait to put some miles on it.
Yeah, you would think that you'd have a lot of benefits besides the weight loss, right? It's not going to rust.
Nope.
And how do you attach it to the metal bits?
We use a bond.
Okay.
Yeah, that our carbon team uses, panel bonding. So, and it's the same stuff that the OEMs use. It's super high strength. So, yeah, it's a practice that's pretty regularly done in the automotive industry.
And then, of course, you know, like lining up the weave, right? It's got to be tricky because not only do you have to have the panel fit right, but you have to have the weave pattern.
Exactly. Like I said, that's an excellent question for our carbon team, but they spend a lot of hard work and a lot of late hours putting this where it's complementing and going in one orientation. Yeah, something that we really pride ourselves in right now.
If we were to take this hood off the car, you know how much it would weigh? Is it something we could lift?
Offhand, no, I wouldn't. But you know, I could tell you it would shed a lot more. You know, it's a lot lighter than a stock one.
I bet.
Absolutely. So.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's an exciting technology, and I bet you're in the forefront. But we'll be seeing a lot more of it, I bet.
Absolutely.
Guys, thanks for watching our SEMA coverage. Our entire team is here in Vegas making sure that you saw it first on the Fastlane car. And by the way, if you want to see some more cool SEMA videos, just click here. And of course, down there to subscribe. Thanks so much and see you back in Vegas.
You saw it first on the Fast Lane car.